Good morning, welcome to my channel. Why am I smiling like a Cheshire cat, you're wondering? I'm going to wire up some lights today. This makes me happy. In order to make light, I need light, so let's roll it outside. And by roll it, I mean fire it up and make lots of noise. Let me just clear up this bench and then I'll show you all my bits. Right, let's see what we got. First of all, coffee. Very important in this operation. The other tool you're going to need, a mouse to control your computer or your whatever for looking up YouTube basically. I will be using Chris Craft, one of my favourite YouTubers, for the wiring diagram. He's very good at explaining stuff in a very basic term, right, for dummies like me. So yeah, I've not done this before. I know the basics, and I've already wired up the rear lights to the front, although they're not hooked up to the light switch, they're not hooked up to the flashers, they're purely hooked up to the front to get power. If you want to see how I wired up the back lights and installed them, click up there. Right, onwards, let's see what we've got. The key to the operation, good old GM light switch, multi-function job, lots of terminals on the back. Again, I'll be using Chris Craft to work out where all the terminals go, but I've got the basics so far. So this functions on several ways, okay? Obviously that mounts into your dash. Right, you pull it out once, that puts the side lights on, pull it out again, puts the main beams on. From the main beams, I then will be routing through a dimmer switch that you guys recommended. And it's a foot controlled dimmer switch. So as you can see, it's got 3 terminals. So there'll be power coming in for the main headlights. And depending on where that switch is in, it'll either go out that terminal for main beams or that terminal for high beams. Fairly basic stuff. So that works in conjunction with this. Other controls you've got in this switch, so that would be the off position. It also rotates to make your dash lights brighter or dimmer. So it starts at that position at the brightest. The more you turn it to the right, the dimmer they'll get. If you turn it all the way to the left, you'll notice that it clicks, and that would put your dome light on. I won't be installing that right now. That works quite differently. That works off of a ground rather than a positive. It's kind of weird, but as I say, that'll be at a later date. I don't know if that lights up. That would be cool, but I doubt it. Okay, so what else we got? Big lights, which obviously I still need to complete that one. This one's pretty much good to go. Again, I had to retrofit these bulbs. These are old 6-volt vintage GM or Chevy headlights. And they did have little 6-volt bulbs. For example, used to look like that. 6-volt bulb, not very good whatsoever. A little parking light in there. I had to retrofit these to fit halogen in there and a 12-volt side light bulb in there, which is what I've done here. If you want to see how I did that, click up there. That's actually an LED, so it should be plenty bright enough. So as I say, that's already fitted in this one, but I still could do the wiring and route it out that hole. So the plan is, before I install these into the car, I'll get all the wiring sorted out so that I've just got, that'll be what, the five wires will be coming out there. and as long as I remember where they're all supposed to go, we'll be fine. And then I'll shield that going into the body of the car. Tools wise, oh wait a minute, another light that I've got. These were the headlights from my rat rod, but they just looked a bit small on this project. As you can see, there's quite a big difference in size. I'm going to use these as kind of extra sort of driving lights slash fog lights, but I'll be doing something a bit special to these, and these will be mounting down lower at the bottom of the fenders. Could look very nice. Let's see what else I've got in here. Stay. Got one of these universal heavy duty flasher switches that mounts to your steering column. Not sure if I'll have time to fit that today, but it'll either be the end of today or tomorrow I'll be fitting that. We'll go through all that. Highly detailed instructions on the back, as you can see. That'll be fun. Chris Craft to the rescue again, I think. I have all these lovely little switches, which I've yet to assign a job to, but these are cool because they actually light up at the end when they're on. And Jamie sent me these. Very cool. Looking forward to that. What else do we have? A big bag of electrical wire conduit. More electrical conduit. This is actually really small. That's for the engine bay to keep it all cool, or at least keep it away from the heat. I'm looking for something specific. I'll dig that out. It's basically the front flashers I've got for the bottom, which will probably sit at either side of the fog lights. Okay, let us begin with some wiring then. So, as I said before, main headlights, halogen bulb, 2 filaments, therefore it's going to have at least 2 wires coming out the back, which it does. It's got the high beam, low beam, and an earth. Also, I have these nice little LED side light bulbs. Now, you would have thought that the white was the positive and the black was the negative, but no, of course, the black is the positive, the white is the ground. Really dumb. And they have to, or at least these particular LEDs have to have it the right way round. It's not like a normal incandescent bulb, which it could work either way. The black has to go to the positive, the white has to go to the negative. So all these wires are going to get bunched together inside the headlight housing and come out that hole there and get fed into the body of the car. Now, I'll probably run a local ground rather than routing it. I don't need to route that all the way back to the cab of the car. So this earth and this earth will get routed and joined to probably to the frame just below the headlights. Okay, so to make life easier, I'm going to make up some wiring with plugs in the correct colour so that I know what colour they are by the time they get either to the ground or get into the cab. So let's see what we've got in the terms of the wiring. So for the headlight wiring, I'm going to use a fairly hefty wire because I'm not using a relay for this. So I went down to Princess Auto and I picked up some of this. Now, sometimes they have the wire on sale, but they didn't have it on sale. Well, they had this on sale. And the reason I got this, which as you can see is 4, well, it was like $15 for 25 feet of a single wire, right? This was $20 for 4 bunched together. So I'm basically getting 100 feet of 14 gauge wire for $20. So I saved a fair bit of money. Also, the colours are actually quite useful. So I'll probably use the green for the main beam and the yellow for the dipped beam, the high beam, whatever. And I can separate them, so no biggie. That was a bargain. So what I will do, I'm going to change the red and the blue to green and yellow. And the side light one, again, I won't use the thick wire for the side light, especially since it's just an LED. I don't need anything that heavy duty. I'll just run a, what colour have I got? I'll probably use a smaller yellow, just to kind of keep it all fairly logical. So let me hook up some wiring and I'll be back in a sec. Very slight change of plan. There's no point doing this wiring until the headlights are installed. Otherwise I would have to do a join, and then when I install it, do another join. The less joins the better as far as I'm concerned. So what I've done, I've added all the connectors to the ends. I've added the heat shrink. So we're all good to go. So I will install these in the car and then start with this wiring. The way it's going to work is, let's say the blue will go to the green wire for the headlight. Well, basically I'll be running the green from one side over to the other side and then running that wire. So yeah, 2 headlights will be running off of 1 wire, but I reckon the 14 gauge should be fine. And if not, then it won't be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. Let me know if you think that's a bad idea, but that's normally the 2 headlights are linked to 1 wire, and I think 14 gauge will be fine. If you don't think so, let me know. I can always change that thickness of that wiring. So let me get these on the car. Right, next I need to decide where I'm going to route the wires. Now, the fuse box is on the passenger side. Now, that would make more sense to run it straight to the fuse box, but the light switch is going to be on the driver's side, and also the foot dimmer switch is going to be on the driver's side. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run it up the driver's side, and I'll probably attach it to the outside of the frame. Just keep it away from the exhaust and the steering and all that kind of stuff. So let's get some wiring going from the headlights round and into the cab. Once that's all plugged in, we can close up the headlights and we're finished with that side of things. Right, the headlight wiring is done, at least the back end is. So it starts there, goes along here, takes a T off of that for the headlight and for the parking light slash side light, and then they all come down here. They'll disappear on this side of the frame, go along there, go into the car. Okay, so let's have a look at what I've done for hooking up the actual headlights themselves. So we have a thick yellow wire, a thick green wire, so that's a headlight, high beam, low beam, a thin yellow wire, which will be side lights, and a thickish black wire for the ground. Okay, headlight reflector. So the blue or the red can go to the green or the yellow. Doesn't really matter, as long as I do the same on the other side. Okay, so let's go blue to green, let you in. And red to yellow. Sorry, I want it tight. Maybe not this tight though, my God. Right, there we go. So then we have the thick black, goes to the thick black earth, which only leaves the side light, okay? Remember before I said the black is actually the positive and the white is the ground. So I've put a little T in this one. So this ground can go into that thick ground, like so. And the positive, the black, that's so annoying, goes into the yellow, the thin yellow. And that should be all the electrics hooked up for this headlight assembly. So let's throw it all inside. Put the lens on. And that will be that complete. Well, that's the wrong way around, isn't it? Is it? So confused. Probably look better with glass into front, wouldn't it? Sometimes the most obvious things. I can spin this around once the ring is on for final adjustment. That side is done. This side is pretty much the same. The only difference is I don't have a tee off for the, of course I do. It's exactly the same. What am I talking about? At this point, both headlights are the same. Oh, what did I say? Blue to green? Hope so. Told you I've got a terrible memory. Blue to green, red to yellow, red to thick yellow. Thick black to thick black. Well, there only is one black. Makes life easier. Black is positive, goes to the yellow. And white is the negative for the side light, and that slots into that little T, like so. Reassemble with the glass this time. Finally. Right, I'm not tidying up the wires today because I'll be doing the flasher wires, the flasher light wires, and they'll all be going through the same loom. So once I know everything works, I'll wrap them all together into the car. Right, inside then, eh? Before I can do any wiring, I need to decide where my light switch is going and where my dimmer switch is going. Now, for some reason, I had in my head that the dim dip switch would be just to the right of the gas pedal, but that doesn't really make sense because you might actually be wanting to, you know, flash someone while you're driving. You don't want to have to take your foot off the gas. So I'm going to put it about there, so my left foot has a job to do in this auto car. Okay, so that's where the dimmer switch is going. The dim dip is going there. Light switch. Again, I was thinking putting it over here, but let's face it, most light switches are on the left hand side of the steering wheel. I would have had to drill a new hole anyway, so I think it's going to go over there. So I need to drill a hole, attach that. Let's see, how's this attached? Probably a couple of riv nuts for that on the floor. So I'll be back in a wee bit. Okay folks, hole is drilled for the lights. It's loose for the moment because I want to be able to take the plug out so that I can see all the connections. And then once I have my connections are in, I'll put it back in. And my floor thingy. Make sure that's strong enough. Cool, what's next? Well, I guess the wiring's next. But before I do that, do me a favour, hit the subscribe. If you hate what you're watching, why are you still here? So subscribe. It's okay, I'll wait. You done it yet? Right, okay, let's continue. Okay folks, so this is my high and low beam. And that will get hooked up to either side, that terminal and that terminal, and then the power coming in will go in the center terminal. And then the switch will divert to either that side or that side for high beam or low beam. So I'll do that first, and then it's all going to be switchy stuff. The yellow wire is, that's the thin yellow wire going to my side lights. That's just sitting there just now. That will go up to the switch soon. Getting close. Right, my dimmer switch on the floor is installed. Time to consult Chris Craft. Okay, here's what I've learned. Excuse me. Starting from this side. This is a 7 terminal switch. Some have 8. This has got 7. Don't need the extra one. It's for parking lights or whatever. So starting from this one here. This is actually the ground terminal for the dome light. I'm not wiring that up at the moment, but it's there. This one here, you can see it's quite different from that one. That's the 12 volt unfused power coming in. There's also another 12 volt power coming in, which is that one there, which is a fused one. Not exactly sure why one's fused, why one isn't fused. Anyway, that's the way it is. That one there is the dash dimmer, or one of the dash dimmer terminals. It basically connects to that one there. You can see those two are joined. That's tail light, that's the side lights. And this one here is the headlights, which obviously always provides a good solid 12 volts, which you can change with your foot dimmer switch to change it from high beam to low beam. So I think if I was to install the dome light, I would actually have to make sure that this body is earthed. I mean, I could add a big plug to that and earth it that way if I'm not confident that that's going to earth through the dash. Okay, let's try and throw it all in the car, shall we? Okie dokie. So I have my wiring done. So I've got everything plugged in except for the dash lights and the ground for the dome light. So just to recap, that's the 12 volt unfused. This wire over here is the 12 volt fused. This thicker wire is going to the headlight dimmer switch on the floor. This black wire here is the tail lights, and this yellow light here is the side lights, the little LEDs at the front. So, hope you saw all of that. By the way, I did actually disconnect the battery before I did all of this because, you know, death. So that goes in there. Oh, actually, you know what? Before I do this, I'm going to remind myself where the little springy thing to get the switch out. It's the only way to get the switch out when you push it in, is that wee spring, okay? Probably put that sideways. It'd be much easier sideways than up at the top. Okay, I'm not going to mega tighten this just now because I will be taking it out soon to dome light and stuff. So let me go and grab the switch and then we'll be good for a test. Right, I have my switch. So we are good for a test. Just need to plug the battery back in and we're good to go. You excited? I'm excited. Let's do this. Right folks, the moment of truth or lies. When I pull this switch out, the side light should come on. When I pull it out further, main beams should come on. And when I press that floor button, you can see it through all those wires. It should change from main beam to dipped beam. I'll check that in a sec. Let's go and make sure the tail lights are working. And that one over there is working, can't quite see it, hold on. Oh yes. I wonder if the front lights are working. Ooh, nice. Awesome. Now it's pretty hard to see the side lights in the daylight. We'll try that again at night, but they're definitely working. But as I say, the sunlight isn't really showing you how good they are. Oh, so happy. Bugsy is awake. I couldn't be happier. Ah, look at that. I'll probably drain the battery, just admiring. Need to see what it looks like at night. I know they look kind of yellowy, but it's very bright today. Alright, tomorrow, flashers. That'll be fun, with those amazing Chinese instructions. I'll give it a go. I got this to work, can't be that bad. Right folks, thanks for watching today. See you in the next one. We're getting very close to driving this beastie. Bye bye.